Stress has become a real epidemic, so this is a brief insight into how we can do something about it using mindfulness training. Now, about 30% of our employees will suffer from anxiety and take time off this year, and if they do, then they'll be off for an average of 24 days. So this costs organisations very dearly in terms of money and productivity and motivation. So the question really is, how can we reduce stress, which will improve productivity and create a happy workplace, the kind of place we'd all like to work in? Now, some of the key figures from the Workplace Absence Report by CIPD in 2016 show that 37% of all work-related ill health is due to stress, and it accounts for 53% of long-term absence. Meanwhile, there's also another 72% of the 1,000 organisations they surveyed who recognise there's presenteeism going on. In other words, people are at work, but they're unwell and they're underperforming. And when we look at the main reasons for stress, the largest is volume of work. We probably all know people who are doing 2 jobs, taking work home, and with mobile communication, we're never really away from it. It's also interesting how people are bringing their home problems into the workplace. And a very significant figure, 32% of organisations feeling that management style needs to be addressed because there's often a feeling of being out of control or misunderstood by employees or even bullied. Now, what are the 3 ways, just trying to really pare it down, that mindfulness can have some effect? The first thing is we can change our brain. That sounds dramatic, but actually it's just about learning new ways to react to stress. And as we do that, we will find that we can do more work easily, staying healthy. It also helps us to become happier. Now, that sounds simple, and it is quite simple. We'll come on to explore these 3 things a little bit further now. First of all, let's stay with what happens with our brains. Now, how we react is something that we've learned. And we'll look at that in a bit more detail on the next slide. The great news is that we can relearn, we can retrain our brains to react in new and healthier ways. It's about developing habits. So the way we respond to something is set down in a neural pathway in the brain from the trigger point to the way that we react emotionally and then behave. And the fact is that the more we react in the same way, the more likely it is that we'll react in that same way next time. And in fact, that neural pathway becomes stronger as we reinforce it. Good news is that we can relearn, we can practice new ways of doing things, and that'll become a new neural pathway, a new habit, in about 60 days on average, which is, as it happens, about the length of a normal full mindfulness course. Now, mindfulness is quite easy to do. You have got to do the work. Nobody can do it for you. And you need to be guided well. And I'd suggest that anybody who wants to do a mindfulness course makes sure that the trainer has at least 10 years of intensive meditation and mindfulness experience. Otherwise, you can go down a blind alley. To be really effective, mindfulness needs to be more than a technique. It needs good foundations. And the first of these is clarity about values. And also to make sure that there's an alignment between your personal values and those of the organisation, so that motivates you to work harder and better, because we all know from the things we do personally that we're excited about, that it just flows. Second point is that while we do need to work on ourselves, it's crucial that you are doing this for others too, and it actually works more effectively if you do that. Now, looking at whether we can do more, the question is all stress bad? And of course it's not. We need a certain amount of challenge to work at our best. So the real question is, what's our capacity? And you're probably aware of this diagram. It's normally plotting performance against stress, but I prefer to see it as demand and capacity. And if you've got no demand at all, you're probably asleep. If your capacity is really dropped, then you're going to get mentally ill from the overload. But somewhere in the middle, there's this peak area where we've got just the right amount of challenge and interest to keep us going. And the question is, can that peak move? Can we actually do more? The answer is yes, we can. And there are two factors which mindfulness helps us develop, which really contribute to that. The first is about building personal resilience, and the second is about improving our focus and concentration so that we can do more but stay healthy. And there are thousands of research studies to prove this, and we'll look at just one of them, which was done in an insurance company where they did a mindfulness program, and months later 60% of people still felt less stressed and 68% felt more productive. So when we're clear about our values and we're acting on our values and feeling motivated, when we're kinder to others, and when we are emotionally intelligent about ourselves and how others are feeling, then that helps us become happier. And that's win-win-win, because when we get happier, teams work better and we can get more done. So that's good for business. So just summarising, work-related stress is a huge issue. We've got to address it. And the big question is, how can we reduce stress yet cope with the demands that are going to continue to be there? And this is a nice photo snapped by Paul Clayton of Capital Law, who found this on a coffee billboard. There's no greater wealth in this world than peace of mind. So just bring this to an end. Mindfulness training helps us change our reaction to stress. That allows us to get more done with ease and makes us happier, which is good for us, it's good for teams, and it's good for business. And just very quick sell of what I do. I run bespoke training programs because really every organisation is different, every individual has different issues and needs. And my work combines face-to-face training, workshops, with online resources. So for example, I run online courses with webinars, etc. I do individual coaching for people who are trying to increase their performance or just recover from a crisis. And I'm also running train the trainer or mindful leadership programs so that the capacity to make use of these tools can be developed and promoted in-house. So if you're interested in exploring how mindfulness training could be part of a program of reducing stress and improving productivity where you work, let's start a conversation. I'd be delighted to hear from you in confidence. Thanks.